the amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Amazing Women Speak. I'm Crystal L. Gunn, and I'm happy to be here again for yet another great discussion. And so thank you all for tapping in. And do me a quick favor before we get into this today. Click the share button to share it on your timeline so your friends, followers, and supporters can weigh in on this conversation. So life is about healing, right? Self-healing. And throughout life, people are going to do things, not do things, say things, not say the right thing, and they're going to make you feel a certain kind of way. You will be triggered. And that trigger is there for a reason. It is part of the healing process. But before we get into that discussion, Michele, welcome back. I send you more healing vibes. And as always, thank you for saying yes to Amazing Women Speak and sharing your dopeness with the world. Hi.
Good evening. I am excited to be back in this space where we hold community for amazing women to come on screen and share their stories. And collectively, we get a little better every single week. I am beyond honored, Crystal, to continue to share this space with you. Thank you for continuing to ask, and the answer will always be yes. Let's get ready for an exciting conversation. This is one that we want you to huddle up. We want you to access the chat features, drop your questions, your thoughts. This is about healing. This is about acknowledging the brokenness and how do we go from here. I'm excited to welcome in yet another amazing Black woman to share in these conversations. And without further ado, because this being the fastest hour of your day, this conversation, we will want to hit pause many, many times, and the clock will work against us. So let's bring in Dr. Anita and get to learn a little bit about her and get this conversation started. Doc, come on in and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. It is just amazing to be here with two amazing women and sharing the energy with amazing women in the audience. I'm just so happy to be here. Yeah, I'm Anita, and first and foremost, I am a mom of beautiful twin daughters, mom of handsome sons-in-law, and awesome 5 grandchildren. I'm an energy gal. I'm one of those, what you see is what you get. I love to inspire and encourage people. That's what I do. That's what I've always done. I'm a doctor. I have my doctorate in metaphysical science, and I'm a practicing metaphysician. So I do mentor in this field of study. I continue to study it. I'm a Michigan Unemployment Appeals advocate where I help unemployed workers get their money from, before the administrative law judge and help put their families back together and help put them, get them just feeling good about themselves again. Poet. So I wear many hats, but the one essence of the hats that I wear is to prayerfully put a smile on someone's face, to prayerfully be a positive essence in their life. To, Maya Angelou said, people ain't gonna remember what you said, but they're gonna remember how you made them feel. And I just really, really want to know that people are feeling good, because there's a lot of things in this world, and unnecessarily, because there's some things that we just don't know. But that's basically who I am in a nutshell.
Thank you, Dr. Anita. Thank you for sharing your identities with us. Oftentimes when we show up on screen, they see us as a monolith, right? And you are disrupting that right out of the gate. So thank you for first lifting up your identity as a mom. And we know what comes with that, right? Like all of the things thereafter as we try to bring children into this world and give them a space for health and healing. And so again, as I tell the audience every week, Doctor, this is the fastest hour of the day. we don't do anything in shallow waters because we don't have a lot of time for that. So we like to dive in deep. And so here we go, right? Like really excited to be able to have this conversation. And I want to open it with you telling us, as Black women, why do we hold our broken spaces so well?
You know what? I think we hold our broken spaces so well because that's what we're taught to do. I think we hold our broken spaces so well because that's what we think is what is expected of us to do. I think we hold our broken spaces so well because that's all we know are the broken spaces. We have been, we as a people have been so concentrating on our humanness that all of us are imbalanced right now because within that, everybody says, okay, I'm not perfect, there's that imperfection and the limitations and the flaws and the faux pas and the hurts and the pains and the past of things that have occurred and things like that. But in the midst of that, we don't hear about the queendom of who we are. You know what I mean? That's not discussed. We don't hear that, hey, and I'm going to say the power, presence, essence, and love of God. And when I say God, I mean male and female within us. We don't concentrate on our divinity because it's been removed. I mean, it's still here, but it's been removed from our frontal consciousness because what we see out here, we've learned to gravitate toward. It is the outside that makes me feel good.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we hold on to that brokenness, I believe, because that's all we know how to do.
So I want to tell you all, before we even get much further, like these questions, the guests never know. And the way you've responded, Doctor, I promise you would have thought you had the question days in advance. So thank you for framing this conversation that excites me to know where we are about to go next. And as Crystal lifted up, right, like I'm not feeling great today. And this is a conversation I really wanted to, I'm not going to say that because I really wanted to stretch myself last week to be present. And the bed won the victory. I'm excited to be in this space today. One, right, because we do own our brokenness too well.
Mm-hmm.
My next question to you, you talked about what's in us. How do we begin to bring awareness to that thing that is in us so that we can start to change this narrative?
Learning that one, that we are connected by energy with the universe and with all things, plant, nature, animals. Learn that within us, just like the animals have the natural instinct, so do we. Learn how, we always say, live life from the inside out, but you got to start with living it from the outside in. Because it's one of those, I've got to be able to look in the mirror and trust that person that I see. You know what I mean? Because if I don't trust the she that I see in the mirror, I'm not going to trust what I don't see. It's like Yehoshua said, how can you say you love me who you don't see and you don't love your neighbor who you do see? That's the same concept. Is how can I trust what's in me, my universe that's in me, and I don't trust the reflection that I see in the mirror? It's not going to happen. So I've got to first learn how to trust me that I see in the mirror. And one way is to do that is just to play a game. Start just following or just doing on hunches, if you will, your intuition. I always share with people, if you go to the store, you create a list, you get a list, and you have your list, and you go to the store, and you walk past some bananas. Well, that's not on your list, but in your mind, you say, oh, I should get some bananas. Don't pass those bananas. Pick them up. Just trust that there's a reason why you're getting. You thought about those bananas, because before those bananas get gone or get got, you're going to realize that's why I got those bananas. So it starts small, because the more we start small, the more we can get bigger and bigger and bigger into trusting who we are on the inside.
That was a whole word, because so often it's like just using that grocery shopping analogy. If it's not on the list, I can't pick it up. And it's denying what we're receiving, right? We're not paying attention to that thing, that gift, that who we are. So just on that, and I've said from very early on that when we're born, we're taught throughout our childhood to disconnect from our bodies, from who we are. I'm going to give this child a pacifier because I don't want him to eat yet, but the child is hungry. And so we go through, we start that. We want you to eat all this food on your plate. Well, I want dessert. And so we don't take the cues from our body because we've been disconnected from it for so long. And you mentioned that piece about trust. I think it was season 1. Someone said that they were in with their therapist and they were talking about that very thing of trust myself.
Mhm.
And our therapist says, well, how could you trust yourself when you continue to lie to yourself?
Mhm.
Ooh, wow. I
So how
mean,
do we start to trust ourselves?
wow. That's, it's one thing is recognizing and embracing our shadow. One just saying that, yeah, I got some thoughts that I know I don't like, but I know I have them. And instead of thinking guilty about it or thinking bad about it, it's just acknowledging, yeah, I have these thoughts, and these are not me. There's just part of my thought, that I'm thinking. Another thing, and I don't know if I think this flows with it, but as far as like with Black women, I have a thing um about us, or black people, men, women, children in general, saying how I've been in the darkness, and equate darkness as something evil, as something bad, as something that's not that's not part of a positive. And for me, as a metaphysician, looking at it energetically, and even as a child, I used to say in my mind, and I wasn't a radical, but in my mind, I was thinking, I said, how in the world can I love myself or even trust myself if I think of myself as dark and ugly?
Hmm.
Because if I think darkness is ugly, to me, we cannot separate, oh, that darkness is ugly, but this darkness is pretty. No,
Mhm.
that's not how our brain operates. You know what I mean? Our subconscious, and when we instill that darkness is ugly, that darkness is bad, that darkness is evil, and I look in the mirror and I see that I'm dark, there's something in my subconscious that says, you're bad. You're not to be trusted. You're not to be loved. So like I said, I don't know, if this is part of it, but I do. I just speak out. A lot of times people say, I'm in the dark. I said, before there was light, there was dark. Ain't
Oh,
nothing gonna happen without the dark. We need to embrace the darkness.
absolutely.
The darkness is just an enfoldment before we get into the light. But you gotta have it. Without the darkness, you're not gonna have the light.
So, Dr. Need, I want to take a step back and build on something that Krista was saying, and talk about the other side of that, right? Like the grocery store analogy.
Uh-huh.
Don't walk past the bananas because it wasn't on the list.
Right.
How do I balance that with the discipline that I'm trying to build with paying attention to only what's on the list to not get distracted by the other things? How do we deal with that balance?
You know what? That's an excellent question. That is an excellent question. But then there comes that, okay, what am I doing? Okay, am I to, because discipline, we can say that discipline means, okay, sticking to this thing. That can also mean one-sided. Discipline can also mean listen to myself, listen to what I'm feeling,
Mm,
listen. That's a
okay.
discipline. You know what I mean? Because we get caught up in the intellectual part. The intellectual part says, okay, I created this list, and if I divert from this list, that means I'm not being disciplined. That means that I'm not reaching or going toward my goal or my intention. Well, who says that your goal and your intention was to stay on that list? Sometimes
All right.
we're going down this path down the right lane, and I can say, okay, I'm gonna have my tunnel vision. I'm gonna stay right down on that right lane. But in my mind, in my heart, it's saying, go left, go left. No, no, no. I'm gonna stay on my right lane because this is what I'm supposed to do. That's intellect. That's the mind. We're not following the heart.
Yep. So thank you for that reminder, right? Like that we have to break out of the ways we've been socialized to think about a thing and
Yeah.
consider it a different way as
Yeah,
we begin to discover who we are and different ways that we need to show up and break the brokenness. Thank you for that.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So let's go back to the topic. Why does it bother you though? When someone does something or doesn't do something and you feel a certain kind of way, like I learned to look at why I feel that way before I address the thing with that other person, or if
Right.
ever I need to address the thing with the other person.
Mhm.
But and we know that it's a trigger, and we know that whole word trigger now is something that you hear all of the time. But let's talk about those triggers and what they're for, and why when something like that happens it actually bothers us, and what should we be doing after that trigger.
Right. Well, for me, I just love this conversation. Oh, just bless you both. For me, and what I share in my in the workshop, for me, it's never about the other person. It ain't got nothing to do with the other person. It's about me. That person, we come into each other's lives to teach. And when something bothers me and someone else, that's 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 my soul saying it's time for you to address that within you. So it's not about the other person. That person just, energy is one. It's one energy. It's just one energy. The polarities, yeah, the opposites, but there's one energy. And that person that comes into our life is just a reflection on what we need to work on. And that's just our, for me, that's our soul saying, okay, we're ready to move to the next step. So it's a blessing, really. It's like, okay, wow, okay, this thing that may have been hidden within me or that I didn't want to address, I'm graduating. Because if I weren't ready to deal with it, then it wouldn't be coming into my sphere of influence, because this is our sphere, meaning I have influence over my world. So whoever comes in it, I brought you.
Mhm.
Now you
So,
you just ruffled a whole lot of feathers when you say I brought you here because now I'm supposed to be able to deal with this, because one of those things, and we always talk about it, we've been socialized to point the finger somewhere else first.
Mm-hmm.
right,
Yeah.
like, I mean, but we live in a retaliatory society, right? Like, so
Mhm.
if you bother me,
Hmm.
right? Like, it is my job in life to make sure that you are aware.
That you
Like,
bother.
right, like that's the society that we live in. So to get
Right.
to the I work is the heart of it. And it
Hmm.
is
It is.
hard, hard, because I want to get you told. Because it bothers me. I need you to know it bothers me
Hmm.
and to
Right.
what degree.
Right.
Right? Like, how do I get to the I work? How do I prioritize that before the response? Because it might change, it is likely to change the response,
For
or you
sure.
may not get a response at all.
Well, and I can only speak for myself. Life has just taught me, as far as like okay, this person, I felt this way because this person did this, or I'm hurt because that person did that. But I had to learn for me that when I began to say I'm responsible for me, that was a bitter pill to swallow. In
Mhm.
fact, I went on a relationship, reclusive. I was in a relationship reclusive for 6 years because I recognized at that point that there were some energies in me that was drawing that caliber of person
For sure.
to me. So I said, in order for me to not bring that type of, and I'm not being judgmental, but to bring that type of energy, I've got to step back and learn who I am and deal with the shadows within me. I've got to step back, and if I got to cry and I went through a process not liking me, hating me, ashamed of me, and all of that, until it got to a point to get to say, okay, in all of it, though, I love me. But that's what I had to do. I had, it's a process, but it's one of those you really have to be ready for it. There is no, premature. It's like, I can have convince a substance abuser to go into rehab, but if they're not ready, it's not going to work for them. It's not, and this is the same concept. It's just one of those, you just got to be ready. And I got tired. I really got tired of being hurt and being ashamed and doing things intentionally and unintentionally that I know I didn't have no business doing, all because I had this low self-esteem, and all this kind of thing. And one thing I've learned too is like, don't take it so seriously either. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, I got this, I got this thing here, and I got this thing over here and that over there. Have fun with it. It's okay. That's what I meant earlier when I said, okay, it's graduation time. That's a time to rejoice. Say, wait a minute, I'm going to step over something. I'm graduating. That's beautiful. So bring it on. When we start looking at those challenges, like as far as, okay, this is okay, it's not about Tom, Dick, or Harry, or Suzanne, or Joanne. It's not about them. It's about, okay, what is it? What is the lesson? What is the teaching that I'm supposed to learn in here? Because another thing I learned, once we learn the teaching, we never have to meet it again. But until we learn the teaching, we're going to be met with it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think Crystal was going down the road talking about, right, like, why does it bother me? Because it's easier for me to hold sometimes, no, the majority of the time, somebody else accountable than it is to hold myself
That's
accountable.
hard. That's hard to say, okay, it's all me. I remember being in a relationship, and it was hurtful. And the person was saying, I'm so sorry and everything. I said, don't be sorry. I said, I said, because it was on me. I let these emotions get, because if I didn't let them, there's no way in the world you couldn't, you wouldn't have any influence. So what it is, I gave you power. So all I got to do is take it back. So it's not on you. You came here to show me what I need to do. I need to step up. I need to step up my game.
That's the grown-up table, doctor.
As I push back from it, like no. And you said that whole thing about, okay, graduation and not taking it so seriously and all of these things. But when you're uncovering the pain, because let's be clear, this is not always just going to be, a bed of roses. It's a journey, and it's a hard one sometimes.
Right.
But how do you pick yourself up off the floor, though? Because sometimes the trauma, the triggers, all of that is going to knock you on the floor. How do you pick yourself up?
Well, the only thing that I can say is like, for me, you know what I mean? And again, it's that responsibility. I'm not saying that it's like say it's my fault that someone may have hurt me. That's because it has nothing to do with the other person. What I'm saying is, okay, when I've been knocked down, one thing I do, I just get to myself. I mean, and that's where you have to have whatever you believe in. Because there comes a time when you have to remove yourself. It ain't about me, the me, I got to do this. I got to pick myself up. No, whatever you believe in, help me pick myself up. And sometimes we have to sit back, because sometimes the greatest space to be in is that place when there's nothing that you can do about it. Because when you get into that place where there's nothing you can do about it, then the universe is now able to come in, because now we done opened up that fist. Because all this time our fist was closed. No. I'm blind to this. I'm blind. I can't. No, I don't want. I got to do this. I'm looking at the illusion of this situation here. So, and because I'm looking at that illusion of this situation, then I'm not hearing that power that we have, like amazing Black woman that's inside of us. That is that divinity. That's what I meant in the beginning, tapping into that divinity, because we can, I can feel, my karmic debt is not having enough. At one time, I would never admit that to someone. I just would not, no way, no how would I let anyone know this is my karmic debt. But because I've learned, and I'm learning, because the journey of self-recovery is just continuum, because I've learned, no, but then I can tap, when I'm feeling insecure and all that kind of stuff, I can tap into my divinity. I know where to go. That's what we need to learn how to do. We need to know where to go. And where to go is inward. It takes,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it bothers me because I know I gave my all to you, to it, right?
Mhm.
Like, why does it bother you though? Because I gave my all to you, to it, to whatever that thing is, right? And
Mhm.
I hear you say it is important for me to find a way to take my power back. When I think about reclaiming my power, I know it's going to cost me some things and some people. How do you get okay with paying the cost?
Well, one thing what you just said too, what you just said, and you just mentioned that you said bringing bringing that back. Um, the what you just said it, and it was right on the tip of my tongue. When you mentioned, letting the power go or bringing the power back. Oh, the one thing is, well, then what was my motive in the first place?
Oh God.
We got to check our motive. If my motive was unconditional, then I'm not going to have a problem with you doing what you did, because I'm not expecting nothing from you.
Mm.
I just need you to
And
say
that's a
that
big one.
again to give me time to gather myself.
Right, like we talk about hitting the pause in the conversation, but we only got 29 minutes left. Right?
No.
Yeah,
You
say
know
that
what?
one again, Doc.
Yeah, what was the motive in the first place? What was our
Mm-mm.
motive?
Gosh.
What
Mm.
was our motive?
Yeah, could like she holding the mirror up like this to everybody that's listening
Me.
right now.
Yeah. I'm looking in that mirror.
I don't even know what to say after that, Michelle. I'm sorry. What's the motive?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Right. So, and right, like part of me is asking that question for the audience, and in full transparency, I have to ask it for myself, right?
Mhm.
When I give of myself and I
Mhm.
don't get back in return,
Mhm.
it bothers me. And I
Me
hear you now challenge me to think about the motive of why I did it in the
in
first
the first
place.
place.
That will help me reclaim my power.
Absolutely. Because
Okay.
and then it's just a matter of that's the bitter pill. That's when the bitter pill can come in, because you say, okay, well, my motive was because I wanted to get this and I wanted to get that and wanted to get this, and then just own it. I mean, you know what I mean? That's what I mean as far as don't make it a big deal. Say, oh, word. I mean, it might. I mean, I don't know. Well, I won't. I was going to say like a D word, but I don't know the show. But anyway, I mean, just one of those. Okay, well, this is what I was. Oh, this is what I was expecting. I mean, did I come into the situation pure? I mean, if I didn't, then okay. I mean, if I'm a point a finger, okay, if I'm a point a finger this way, well, then I got to know there's another finger pointing this way. And once I know that finger is pointing this way, and once I own up to say, well, where, hey, listen, that's why this is what I was expecting, and not having a conversation, but to a person per se, or that you could, but just to ourselves and say, okay, well, yeah, this is what I was this is what I was expecting. And yeah, I'm angry about it. I'm angry about it because this person didn't do it. But another thing to that component, the piece of that is that person was letting you know what they were in the first place. We just didn't look.
Oh God.
We just didn't
Right.
look, and now now all of a sudden, I'm angry because you didn't treat me the way I wanted you to treat me, but you've been showing me all along that that's not what you're doing in the first place.
Well, that's why it bothers me.
Right. Because
Right.
I kept letting this crap happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Full circle, it will come back to self, right? Because people will show you who they are, and we choose or choose not to believe that, thinking that we have the ability to get something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's one of our innate. We have an innate need to belong, and that energy is around our belly, that where we hold our emotions and all that. And within that that area, we have our protective negative. Because not all negative is bad, but that negative is always just that protective negative, like look at that red light, and we hear it, but it's like, oh, let me dismiss it, because we're always because of our genetic and because of our formed and formless energy, we have every single thing in here we need to know about everything that's going on. Everything. Everything.
So years ago, I got a call from someone who I had been in a relationship with, and they asked the question, well, how come I don't ever hear from you? And I said, I had to go through a healing process. And of course, they were, apologetic of all of the things. And I said, but I can't come to the person for healing that broke me in the first place.
That's a word.
When do you, is it possible to stay there? Like, is it possible? Or as someone asked me, or someone said, you just have to let that thing die in order to, I don't know, cut it off at the root and be done? Like, what's that process when you're not mean and vindictive? Like, what is the process to just say, I got to step out of this because this is the best thing for me?
Well, again,
I know it's you pointed right back at us, like it's.
Years ago, many years ago, praise God, it was many years ago. I was associating with someone who wasn't so very nice to me. Right, in fact, they were very mean to me, and it was physical and all that stuff. But what I did is I didn't physically do anything to try to remove. Again, I mean, I take energy, I take being a metaphysician very seriously. And this is the same person that introduced me to metaphysics, as a matter of fact, who introduced me to reading the Bible and everything, the wolf in sheep's clothing. But I knew the lesson that, it wasn't until this was maybe in the 80s. It wasn't until maybe 2 years ago, I was in the shower and it hit me why the lesson, because my spiritual advisor had said, she said, well, Phyllis, bless her heart, she said, well, he came here to teach you, he's here to teach you a lesson. And I got angry with her. I used curse words with her. I didn't speak with her for a while because I said, how dare you? What do you, this man is hurting me. What happened was, though, I just began visioning that rascal out of my life. I really did.
Yeah.
I really did. And eventually that man met another woman. Now, I got to tell you now, the human part of me was hurt because he left me for another woman. You know what I mean? But I got my prayer answered. I visualized that rascal out of my life. I didn't do a thing but visualize that.
It's so powerful, right? Like, people underestimate the power of visualization. And right, like, there was a time where it became very popular to do vision boards, right? And as a part of a New Year's resolution,
she wasn't like that.
Right, that by week 3 had went away, but there's so much power in, right? Yeah. Being able to see yourself in the space and being non-negotiable about working the journey to get you to that space that you visualized, right? And not owning, again, the cost. It's going to cost you something and some people, and be okay with that cost because you're clear on your vision. Absolutely. Right? And only watering things that serve you. That's not selfish.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And I've even learned to tack on, when things are happening and I'm in the middle of something, because that's life, it's like, even looking at life through rose-colored glasses, roses have thorns. So, you can look at life through love, and you're going to experience different things. But when you look through it though, then you just recognize that this one thing that is it's temporary, and the other thing is that you it comes a point where we just have to understand that things that happen with us in our lives were supposed to happen. I just did a in my private tap into you room a little video, and I said, of I was thinking of the three father figures in my life, and it dawned on me, um, the experience that was happening, that had occurred through my life, and a period where it was a longer span, but in a certain period of time, I was lost. And I just realized that. And then just looking at that, I realized, I said, these three father figures weren't very nice. But I said, yeah, but all my life, I remember as a little girl wondering what my relationship with God is. My poetry, when I started writing poetry, everything was about Yehoshua, trying to get into in reach with with him. You know what I mean? This was my journey. But it's just not. I'm 67 now, and it dawned on when I just looked at the dates on a journal, on a piece of paper in my journal. I said, you know what? They were there because that's my path. Had this not happened, I would not have been on my path to get my relationship with the universe, with the creator. So that had to happen. So what I'm sharing, and it's called radical forgiveness kind of thing. It's a saying. You do that, yeah, that radical forgiveness, where you understand that, okay, yeah, that abyss was a bitch, but you know what? It was there because that's what I needed to graduate. I wouldn't be here if that had not happened.
So
You
when
know
you
what I
came
mean?
to that realization, what was the conversation like with your mentor? With Phyllis? Was her name Phyllis?
Oh, this was, yeah, no, this Phyllis was, yeah, this was the time. I'm sure this is years later when all this was
Okay.
that epiphany when it came. Because I'm saying, like, in the shower, I was just showering, and all of a sudden the guy came into my mind, and I said, oh my God. And I said, that was the lesson. Because just, I don't want to get all up into that, but my whole thing that I've always said is that the creator is not a person kind of thing, but then I would get confused and different things like that. And in the shower, it was like I said, see, that's what man can do. The creator's not going to do that. The creator is not a man. And I said, oh, and that's what he came here to teach me, to confirm for me.
Mm.
And then also that to confirm to me, to show me how little I loved myself.
Wow. The journey, I mean, the journey is so very important. Like, and when you're going through it, you're almost angry. Like, why me? Why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? But when you get on the other side,
Yeah.
then you're like, I get it. I had to go through that in order to get here. I had to go through the thing.
Had to go through. Yeah. And in that process, whether we recognize it or not, in that process, that 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 spirit within us, that love is elevating, whether we know it or not. And see, that is also the energy that where he took his exit, because in same opposite energy will be for a moment. You know what I mean? And really, the same energy, negative and negative, is going to be together, positive and positive. If my energy, my aura begins to build, and my soul begins to start thinking that love, I love me, I I love, I am love, and just organically, indigenously, without me even realizing, it could be a subconscious thing, that energy is not his energy. So his energy, that energy is going to go away because it is no longer companioned with my energy. I don't have anything to do with that. That is the law. That is universal law.
So I need to put this thing in reverse because you said something that was such a powerful acknowledgement. And I want to hear a little bit about what did that feel like when you acknowledged it and began to work forward when you said, I had to realize I did not love myself. That's so powerful, right? Like we can look in the mirror and blame the brokenness around us. Why does it bother me so, right? Because they didn't love me, because that didn't love me. But to stand in front of the mirror and say, I did not. That's so like what was on the other side of that for you?
Cry like a baby.
Right?
And
Like
I feel I went through the pain of the hurt. I experienced my little girl inside of me saying, my God, she's so sad because all this time, I mean, even now it can bring tears to my eyes because, and I got chills because it was, I mean, it was one of those things where you call out and scream and say, my God, help me. Help me. And that's the place, though. See, that's the place that when you, forgive me, see, because
I'm telling you, it hit me.
Yeah.
That is the place when you get to a point when you say, help me, I cannot go anywhere. That's when that stuff starts happening. Stuff just starts. I'm telling. I mean, the person goes away, start leaving, and for days, and eventually gone, and just think money starts coming back because because the situation has changed. I'm telling you, when the energy shifts, it's like the universe said, hey, I got you, but you got to see it. That's the choice that we have. He talks about it in all, I mean, I don't know how many holy scriptures. That choice that we have to make. We're going to either decide, what what choice are we going to decide that, okay, I release this. I surrender. I'm surrendering this because I can't do anything with it. I can't do anything with it. And yeah, it really tore me. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we frame this conversation about the bullshit bar chasing the unobtainable, right? As Black women. And so we're constantly doing, in order to, right, fill in the blank.
Right.
And so I heard you say that for 6 years you were in a relationship with self, right? Some of us don't have a space where we can go 6 years. But I promise you, listeners, if you don't find a way to fall in love with you, be in relationship, if it starts out with 1 hour a day, what comes on the other side of that self-discovery that you prioritize you so that you can continue to pour into others will change your absolute life. If you have to start out with 15 minutes, do that. But find yourself worthy of being in relationship. Get comfortable with the discomfort of being in your own company. To discover why it has bothered you so. And what are the strategies? What are the things? How do I connect? How do I find that thing that Dr. Anita lifted up in the beginning of the show is inside of all of us? That power that can move and change a universe because you as a Black woman show up. So start dating yourself, however that needs to look. Be in relationship. And I knew that we were going to run fast out of time, and there's still so much to unpack. And before we get too far, we need to know how folks can find you because you have shared so much and there's so much more to be unpacked. How can folks find you?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Yeah. I can be found on Facebook. I'm a Facebooker. Dr. Anita Caprice, DRANITA CAPRIC, or you can even call me. I'm OLE school. I still, I, I like that energy of the human touch, and so the voice, connecting, so people can call me at 313-605-8220. I even thought, I said, you know what, for this, I want to do like a free 15-minute consultation if anybody wants to call me and talk about some energy stuff. I mean, just feel free to do that because we need each other. I mean, and
I don't know if you heard that. She just offered you a gift of how you spend that first 15 minutes of the relationship of you. Reach out to her. It will be a gift. So I pick up the phone and I call you, Dr. Anita, and I say, I heard you on the show and I heard you talk about energy and shifting that energy. I don't even know how to identify what's in me. What do I do?
I'll ask some questions. I'll just simply ask some questions and because I'm that energy gal. I believe in the the numbers of the universe, and I work with them. So it's one of those. I mean, I can share just even now, like Crystal. I can see why you guys are such a tight knit, that you guys work well together. Because Crystal, I mean, that C, the vibration of that C is expression. It is creative. It's that, Michele, you are anybody that wants to build something up from the foundation. You're the go-to girl.
Yes, Lord.
I know she is. Energy is energy. It's not rocket science. It's just when yes. I mean, and those I can ask some questions. I can ask them, say, do you have any? I may ask, do you have any aches and pains anywhere? There's tissue, but we gotta get to that well in the cell, and we gotta go deep.
Before we wrap this up, though, because you are. And I want you to talk about this a little bit in how it relates to, is it a response to what's happening with us, where you talked about, and I'm going to get it wrong, I'm just going to say the word autoimmune. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So many today, so many of us are affected with autoimmune compromised systems. And, the autoimmune is the gut, and metaphysically, the gut is that physical mind, and it's also that solar plexus. This is our power center, our judgment center. And when our judgment is off, we're going to have issues with our gut. We're going to have issues inside of here. So just that autoimmune, and what is it? I don't know, thousands of autoimmune deficiency syndrome conditions, disorders, and diseases. But I mean, it's just so many. So as a rare disease legislative advocate, that's what I speak on, as far, and also rare disease too, because it's just so much. And I know we have the traditional medicine and everything, but I speak on it. I just believe that if the traditional conventional medicines collaborated with the holistic natural medicines, I believe milestones would occur in cures. Right. I really do. So I'm in the process of, it's in writing, but I'm writing this proposal to see how, if senators, state legislative would support a bill with, to have insurance companies add, herbalists and things like that to the insurance, because it's just so much that, people, they say diseases, there's no cure. And I said, no, I believe there's a cure for everything that's found in that herb. And just because we don't see the cure doesn't mean it's not there. We just don't see it. And that's a big difference. So, yeah. Thanks for asking, Crystal. Yeah.
This has been like so amazing. And when I tell you the comments in the chat, we haven't even had an opportunity to lift them up because they've been on fire the whole time.
Oh, wow.
It's been on fire the whole time. But I think Michele and I were taking our own notes, so we really weren't paying attention to what was happening in the chat.
Me too.
And that's one time for the Black Girl Magic, because I would have never have said you were 67. So let's just put that.
Right.
You said that, and I was like, oh, okay. This has been amazing, as I knew that it absolutely would be. This is what Amazing Women Speak is, right?
See, that's hey,
Conversations to uplift and empower and inspire literally anybody that listens to what we talk about. It just taps into everybody on every level, right? So, we really and truly want you to own, honor, and execute your amazing. And we always say, as it was established at birth, because we tend to think it's those things that make us amazing. But when we were created, right, that is where that amazing began. And so often we forget about it. And I think you gave us today a reminder on how to get back to that.
Absolutely.
Right.
You guys, bro, you're just so, you sisters are beautiful. I just want to thank you for inviting me, and you're so warm. I felt so comfortable, and the energy. So God bless you. I thank you. I just thank you.
Oh no,
we are extremely grateful for the gift of you, your knowledge, you sharing enough about you to let us know that you are real, that you're experiencing, right? Like sometimes we get so theoretical in the way that we talk about the things that we do in this world, that sharing that part that impacted you gives hope. And so thank you for giving me hope. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Thank you for everybody that was listening. Michele said it. I couldn't say it any better. Just a quick sponsorship message. Amazing Women Speak is sponsored by the Amazing Woman Network, which was created to unite and empower Black women globally, focusing on our core pillars of reclaiming our personal power, mind, body, and spirit, reclaiming our financial power, and increasing our social involvement. And I think today we tapped into reclaiming our personal power, mind, body, and spirit. Thanks to you. So thank you again. I am Crystal L. Gunn. I am a Black woman, and I own my amazing.
Thank you, Crystal. Always year 3. And I cannot end a conversation without saying thank you. Yes, this is season 3. Season 3. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So thank you, Crystal, for continuing to be obedient to the call that God has put on your life to create space for Black women to come and showcase how amazing they are when we have to walk through the rest of the world being beat upon, being made invisible, and being forgotten. Thank you for your obedience. We all get better when we get to be in this space, and you've created it one more time. And it is beyond my blessing to be able to share this space with you yet one more time. I am Michele Harper. I am a Black woman, and I absolutely own my amazing. And this week, Dr. Anita, I'm going to do that gut check because I claim my healing physically today. Thank you.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Dr. Anita,
absolutely.
We also need for you, right? Everybody do not disconnect, because Dr. Anita is going to bless us with a word tonight. And you want to end your night with this spoken word. So please, as she does her closing, do not hop off. Stay tuned for the end of the blessing to wrap up the one that you got in the beginning. Dr. Anita.
So wait, hold on. Let me say this last piece, and then you, Dr. Anita, will be the last voice that we hear today. So thank you, Dr. Christopher Rogers, who is now producing this in season 3. We appreciate you and look forward to all of the great things that you will continue to bring to our show. Please find Amazing Women Speak on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Spotify, and Roku, and whatever your favorite platform. Like, subscribe, and share. Tap into us on YouTube. Find that topic that speaks to your soul. Dig into it. Be blessed. Share it. Be a blessing to someone else. Next week, we will be back, and the topic will be the truth behind self-care. So we will see you next week. Dr. Anita, close us out, please.
Okay. All right. Just to celebrate. It's a beautiful thing to be together and celebrate with good cheer. Mystical and magical does come with a listening ear. Elevate and dream for as long as you can, and the vision is created in your mind. Hey, my sister, do you plan to make your goals to bring on change, or do you plan to keep it all or just simply arrange? What kind of grades in the school of life this year is on your card? Are you giving it your best shot and studying real hard, hard with thought, fun, and action, love, family, friends, faith, and God, your main attraction? Beautiful. Are you believing in yourself, knowing that you can, and achieving what you set out to do after listening, hearing, and designing your master plan? It's a beautiful thing to be together within good cheer. Mystical and magical, yes, it does come within a listening ear. Elevate and dream for as long as the vision is created in your mind. Now, are you going to dare to dream and bring out the talent inside of you, succeed in all you set out to do? Now, that's including those lessons learned so that you can get that wisdom earned. Now, beautiful soul, beautiful sister's friend, is your vision clear or is it cloudy and gray? Now's the time to clear it up so that it doesn't go away. Now, as you do this, remember to laugh. Remember to laugh as you take each day with a smile, putting one foot in front of the other as you walk your blessed mile. See, you're doing this with the gift of the Creator inside. It's a beautiful thing, yes, it is, to be together. Mystical and magical does come within a listening ear. And while you're at it, girlfriend, take time to smell those roses and feel the gentleness of the breeze. Let the sun warm your cheek and welcome the moon with joy and ease. Now love yourself unconditionally because you damn sure deserve the best. Strive, pursue, yet remember, take time to rest. To rest and rejuvenate, get together and celebrate. Celebrate you, soul, beautiful spirit, sister, you and all you do. Your precious dream comes true. Don't you know you're a treasure and your map is within? Bring on your dream, my beautiful spirit sister, and let your greatness begin. It's a beautiful thing to celebrate with good cheer. I am Dr. Anita C. Powell, Black woman owning my amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everybody.